All right, Max, we're live. We're doing this thing. So a lot of
Hi
news
guys.
dropped this
Yeah.
weekend. A big Sunday pump happened, which is usually not the best thing in the world historically. But Trump announced that they're going to be buying a digital stockpile of altcoins, specifically Solana, XRP, ADA. And then in the next tweet, he forgot to say Bitcoin and ETH, but in the next tweet, he was like, and of course, I love Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm going to be buying those too. So those are super significant things to say as the president of the U.S. And we saw, I think Cardano ADA bounced 80% in a couple of minutes, which is insane. For
Oh yeah.
for something that big, and XRP had a larger FDV than ETH, which is also insane. ETH maxis are in shambles. I think ETH only pumped 10%, while Cardano pumps 80. So what do you think of it all?
Yeah, well, it was a crazy event. I have some thoughts on it. It is the same pattern that repeats over and over again. I think since 2024, we are in a pretty news-driven market. And to have that kind of a news-driven move on a illiquid Sunday evening from my time was pretty crazy to see and definitely not optimal. And of course, we now see the start of the week, Monday, classic correction, backfill the CME gap that we produced on the weekend. Um, yeah, I was initially pretty surprised as I went short, so I got liquidated on that move
Mm-hmm.
initially.
Everyone got
But
liquidated on that move. Every short that was in
yeah,
alts or Bitcoin or whatever, I don't know how wide your stop would have to be to not get liquidated, but I think people mostly got liquidated there.
oh,
And
it
it was
was
looking
pretty
pretty
tight.
bearish. Sunday was looking pretty
Yeah,
bad. We talked about that. It looked
initially,
like distribution. Yeah.
initially, yeah. So the bounce on the 4 hour, I also made an X post about it. On the 4 hours, were always already overheated. So I saw a clear rollover on the 4 hour. That was the reason why I went short on the majors because I thought maybe the 60-day cycle low isn't in yet. And I was pretty confident about that. And we initially got in that direction. So I went offline and got the notifications, hey, Cardano went up 35%. And I was like, okay, this is something different. And I logged in. And I saw all this. And my initial thoughts were, wow, this on a Sunday based on news is not the best thing. And of course, we pumped a lot. We pumped more than I thought. Initially, it was very strong, 80% on Cardano, nearly 80%, I think, um, which is a pretty crazy thing. So while that move happened, I saw that it keeps going and going and going. So I was able to capitalize on that and got the losses back I lost on the short and
Mm-hmm.
made 2 hour profit on a small long. So I just longed laggards because I saw that it was basically just a chain reaction through all of the coins. You could long anything
Yeah.
and they just went off one by one. If it's just only 10%, I take them.
Mm-hmm.
So I took them, and then while that I re-reviewed my own thought process. And yeah, what I think about it is we had very bearish market structure breaks previously,
Mm-hmm.
and this was a news driven, announcement driven move. But Trump especially is very good in providing people what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But does it have follow through?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have digital reserve yet? No.
No.
Was just mentioned that they plan to do it with some random dino altcoins, which is pretty crazy to include
Yeah,
ADA
what do people
there.
use Cardano for? Like genuinely speaking, like I've never I don't know like I don't know what a Cardano wallet is. I don't know what you do on Cardano. I don't know who
Oh,
uses
yeah.
Cardano. The same for XRP. Like no idea. I know that it's kind of like a historical. I mean, both are kind of like legendary like Dino coins that have been popular in past cycles. I know XRP is very popular on like the YouTube side of crypto, like a whole different universe than Twitter. No
Oh,
one's
yeah.
a, no one's a Cardano maxi on Twitter, at least that I follow. No one's in it for the tech on that. I wonder how that guy got ingratiated with Trump and got Trump to pump those bags. Like it's just very strange. I think it's the sons. They're meeting these founders of these companies, and then the sons are like, oh, we should buy a bag of this, and then you can put it in the reserve for some reason. Like I kind of understand Solana because it's so fast and so many people use it. Like the wallet count, the growth, like all of that is there. Like it could be the rails for something, but right now it's the rails for gambling. I don't know what else it's really used for.
Well, Solana is reasonable. It is just going with the trend, but other is pretty random, I
Yeah,
think. And XRP is like kind of connected with the whole banking system, at
yeah,
least what they plan
that's
to
what people
do.
say.
So it has big potential, but I don't know really what they plan on doing, how the allocation on these altcoins would be at the end. I think they will just spread on a lot and just make it like a shotgun shoot into the
Yeah,
market and just buy random altcoins
yeah,
to have allocation that
yeah,
reserve. But as I said, we don't know when it comes. We don't know if it comes. Maybe it needs to go through Congress, through
yeah.
law processes. We don't know. These things can be delayed up to 6 to 12 months, and we keep waiting, 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 and the market sells off again because the only reason we initially pumped was because of that news. So if we get no follow through on that news, and I think today they have a meeting or had a meeting where they should announce any investment or so. I don't know if they already had it, but we see the market already sells off after
Hmm.
the news because they have no strong foundation. Nothing has really happened. Nothing has really changed. And I stated in my last tweet that the trends are still broken and not yet reclaimed.
Yeah.
So being cautious here is definitely the right thing to do. I am open to go long as soon as we have significant market structure breaks again. Then I am turbo bullish because getting out of such a sell off is generally like making it a failed breakdown is generally very bullish. But as long as we don't have that, my bias is bearish. Bearish because I'm defensive, because I want to preserve my capital
Hmm.
until good times come back. Right? What
Absolutely.
what are your thoughts on it?
I think you iterated a lot of what I was thinking as well. When I saw the news, I said, and I saw the price increase on all those coins that were mentioned that they were buying. I was like, great, this is an awesome time if I'm already in those positions. So I was already in Bitcoin and I was already in Solana to take profits. So on Bitcoin, we talked about this. My target was 93.9, just kind of at the base of I think the old range lows. It was a great place. We can look at the charts later, but like great place to
Yeah.
take profits. And then Solana going from 125 to 175, basically in like a couple of candles. I
Big
thought was a
move.
great time. I had some sold
Yeah.
that I had been bag holding forever. I think it was like 150 cost basis. So I watched it go up to 300, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna take profits on that. It's just it's my little spot bag. And then I saw it go down to 125, and I was like, wow, I really kind of forgot about that. Like which Phantom wallet is that in? Okay, oh, this is the Phantom wallet. Oh, it's a Sunday. I don't really like to be too active, in the charts on Sundays, but I was like, I'm selling all of this because it's just such a artificial move. Like I think these moves are so much more productive when there's a rumor. People get excited. We're bottomed.
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
slower, gradual buildup. You build more market structure. It inches along. It inches. There's people t-wapping in. There's good levels. There's good
Yeah.
bids. And it's not on the weekend. It's like it's real funds. It's people with hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars that are like, I should put more money in Bitcoin or Solana, or I should, this is a long-term investment. And they're using spot a lot of the time, so they're not buying contracts. And we didn't see that. It was like, the strategic reserve thing has always been talked about, but like for him to be like executive order Sunday, I'm doing this. When things
Yeah.
look so bearish, the stock market looks so bearish in a lot of ways. I just knew it wouldn't be an artificial rally, or at least, look, it could be the start of a rally. Like we could retrace fully. There could be more good news that comes out. We might, if we're not able to make a lower low on Bitcoin, which I think is around like 78, 79, that's that old CME gap. If we
Yeah.
don't break down farther from here, I'm definitely bullish. I'm absolutely bullish. But if we break down
Yeah.
farther from here, then I think I have no. We've been bearish for a couple of weeks now, and I don't have any reason to not be bearish unless we can make a higher low here. Um, So I think on that note, do you want to share your screen? You do a great Bitcoin cycle analysis. Do you want to show us where
Yeah,
you think we are in the cycle and what's next and
sure.
how you're looking to play it?
Sure, we jump right into it. I put you aside. And we'll share a screen here. Share. So we jump right into it. This is the standard 60-day cycle chart. I marked some levels off that I think that are important, and I will put that tickers aside. And I've marked the recent lows and highs in the 60-day cycle trend portrayal. So what I go, how I approach these cycle charts normally is I look at the past 1 or 2 cycles, how they went, were they bullish, were they neutral, what really happened to get a picture about the general market structure. And that we will do today again. What we will see here is 60-day cycle where we build market structure. This is something a market does when it's bottomed out. So you have higher lows into the 60-day cycle here in the mediate, and then a break through the range high out of the 60-day cycle, having a great rally, going in the next range, finding a low in the range, finding a range high, swept the previous high. We discussed this last time. We have a typical double top formation here with a liquidity grab to the upside. We have an early cycle top, day 20 top here, if we count from that low. And then we found a pretty decent day 33 mid-cycle bottom here. So I marked that out. And then we lacked momentum completely. So that was the first indication. We see all the momentum breadth indications were pretty bearish and pretty flat, going nearer and nearer to this time-wise region where we should see the next 60-day low. And then we had a spike up, which was a clear indication for me to sell basically my positions. I got bearish because I never are very bullish when we spike up before that 60-day cycle low windows. Most of the time, as here, you spike up into it, you sell off again. So we not only sold off, we lost the range, right? And that was the significant market structure break. Our local trend portrayal on the high time frame are the daily 200s or 12-hour 200s. On this chart, I have the 12-hour 200s. They are clearly broken and bearish retested. I also marked out a trend line here, which I just pulled from the recent highs down here, which is actually pretty clean and got hit now 4 times. Which is interesting because I always have that rule after the third or fourth time of hitting such a line, I'm getting interested in buying a breakout because it's much more likely to break out than the first 2 touches. So yeah, we have the 12-hour here. We'll switch to the daily view because it's a bit more less noisy here. And we see the big hammer candle down here, the bearish engulfing. And yeah, what should I say? We had the Trump pump. We sold off again. We are still above the daily 200s and still above our 60-day cycle low. I marked this out as 60-day cycle low because it was a pretty significant event and we bought us up pretty quickly. So this is a clear bottoming sign for me. So I was pretty sure the bottom could be in here, but I am not sure how the next cycle will proceed from here. So I have no clear view at the moment how this cycle will go because we are at the moment more breaking down from a structure than building structure to break up. What I mean by that, within that 60-day cycle here, I was pretty sure that the next 60-day cycle will be immensely bullish, right? The first time we broke the 2024 market structure here. Here, we break the 2 or 4 month range here. I need to measure that out. I think it's nearly 4 months, right? We break that structure here. So I'm far more bearish going into the next 60-day cycle because an extension lower could follow before basing out and building structure again, which would turn me bullish. And I want to position much more like I position. I'm happy to position in a market that gives me clear lows, clear higher highs, higher lows, building structure. I'm much more confident positioning in such a market than here on that random Trump pump candle. So going from here, I'm closely watching, and for what I'm watching is pretty easy. At first, I have some target levels below still, and if we hit them and make lower lows, I'm pretty defensive still. So I will not take action on anything down here, basically. I just want to watch the market, see how it reacts. I want to see how it reacts around that daily 200 here. If we see further distribution, because this is clearly a range distribution with now a breakdown. And if we can never reclaim that range low, if we can never hold above the daily 200s, I'm not very bullish. But if we proceed, for example, we bias up again and we go into that previous range, find some mid-cycle low here and proceed higher up here into the next 60-day low, that would give me structure and reasoning to be turbo bullish, breaking the diagonal line here, staying above the daily 200s, reclaiming the 12-hour 200s, reclaiming local trends, having a clear market structure that following to upside. Um, that is something I want to see. On the other side, it could be a chop cycle or, of course, a bearish cycle. We don't know it yet. But I'm just saying I'm not doing very much. I'm not very bullish in this region here. I need to get to see prices get above here and free themselves from the pending further downtrend. I want to see this local downtrend with lower highs and lower lows to be broken before getting too bullish. Ideally, we had such cycles. We base out, form a new base like we did here. We broke down, had an immense sell-off. We went basically sideways or got into a chop phase, which was basically a descending range here. And then we pumped out of this build structure for the second leg higher back then in this bull market here. Kind of such thing I'm looking for here. We broke down from a range. We had a big drawdown, maybe further drawdown, and maybe one 60-day cycle of sideways before doing anything would be the normal or optimal case. Also, the bull market here often did such things. We break down, we go sideways, and then we see the next market structure shift. We go into the next bullish phase. Or here, we broke down from a range, we base out, build structure, and then break out higher. Yeah, of course, 2024 took a bit longer. um, so this is basically my cycle analysis. The 60-day cycle could be in, but it also could be the start of the first bearish cycle. And they could turn out to be shorter than the bullish cycle we previously had. So caution still. But also, I will not rule out that this bull market is not over. And I'm totally not ruling that out. But I need to see some action, some reclaims here first before becoming too bullish. And that's basically my 6-day cycle. Have you any questions about that chart?
No, I think great minds think alike. I think we're thinking about the same thing. The one thing I will add is I would, unless you disagree, I think the last 60-day cycle is a bearish cycle because
Of course, it is.
we peak on the left side of on the left half of the cycle,
Yeah,
whereas
early
all the
top.
other bullish ones peak on the right side. Like you make a higher high as you're going up on the right.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, as Max said, like these bearish cycles, you will get relief, and it usually will happen in that first half of the 60-day cycle. And frequently, they're not even 60 days in a bear market. They can be much less. It can be like 20 or 30 days per cycle. But with relief happening to the upside much faster. So, yeah, look, I'm with you, Max. Like that 60-day low that you have from February 28th, that spike down that almost touches the weekly moving average.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a very, very good potential low point for the near term. Again, as I said earlier, as long as we are holding above that, I am bullishly optimistic.
Oh yeah.
If we break below it, I think that it will be very bad. I think we'll easily hit that 72,000 prior all-time high level. And something that I was thinking about the other day is that if we could even lose that and go back down to like 50K. So it's the old range lows, old range highs is kind of what I'm thinking of as well. Like if we lost 72K, you would have a short opportunity down probably to 50K.
Yeah, you could definitely hop onto a short that is just, you have a moving train, the moving train is just moving down, right?
Yeah.
So you can hop on the bearish trend also. Like you don't need to be bullish only. We can capitalize and make money on bearish trends. Definitely. So if we lose the daily 200 here ultimately and go into a bearish market phase in general, I will be the first person to switch bearish and really take on shorts and try to get better in shorting this market. First thing is the US Tether dominance. I'm watching that charts closely. I kind of don't like what I see here. We had the same inverse double bottom BTC double top thing, and now we are in a bull trend, reclaiming daily 200s on the US Tether dominance. Many say you can chart this. I think it's pretty clean if you
It's
want to
very
chart
clean.
it. So this is just a chart to keep in mind, because when I switch to the weekly time frame, I get many bullish signs on that chart here. The same as I had in May 2021 when the big breakdown happened initially, when we had the first peak and went to that bigger low. So what I can see happening is, if this chart further breaks out and takes out that high, that we really accelerate on Bitcoin to the downside and see some kind of very bullish price action um, on the US Tether dominance chart. And you see it also on the volume. It matches pretty much the top here, 2021, which kind of turns me pretty concerning. And then coming from the US Tether dominance chart,
And one thing
I
I want to
also,
clarify, just
yeah,
when you say bullish tether dominance, that's actually bearish for crypto. So what
very, yeah,
Max is saying is if this breaks this triangle to the upside, that means people are holding much more cash than they are crypto, meaning that the price of the crypto like Bitcoin and whatnot will go down because they're holding more cash. So yeah, I
exactly.
agree. It would be the third test of that descending triangle, and if it doesn't rebound and then try to go lower again, it'll spell some pain. So it's good confluence to what we're seeing on the Bitcoin chart.
Exactly. What we see here is the cyclical chart is just on the top side, means stochastics are extended now. We have very much bullish momentum. Breath is just turning bullish on the weekly. So the exact opposite, like on Bitcoin, where we get that weekly sell signals like 3 weeks ago already. Um, that that kind of drives me very concerning and very defensive. I want to see it rejected hard here to get very bullish, to play it to the downside. So crypto to the upside then in general. And another interesting chart is the USDC dot dominance, which is basically just the beta to US Tether. Why is this chart so interesting? Because it is much cleaner. We have a clear downtrend on USDC, a very clear downtrend, followed after a very clear uptrend. So this was a very bearish cycle for USDC dominance. Um, oh, sorry, this was a very bearish cycle for USDC dominance, but very bullish for crypto. And now it broke all the bearish trends and is accelerating to the upside here, which coincides with the US Tether dominance chart. So we based out here and now are very bullish, pushing out of this. So the hard money, the cash indices are all very bullish, which which kind of makes me very defensive. I don't want to see them that bullish. I want to see a downtrend continuation if I want to see acceleration on Bitcoin and altcoins. So now I'm done.
No, I love this. I actually, it's funny. Everyone looks at Tether dominance. No one looks at USDC dominance, but it makes sense that you would look at this too. I wonder if we can combine them somehow. It's a fun idea.
We
But
should do something like that.
yeah, I think we
Maybe
probably
maybe
could actually. But yeah,
maybe
this is great. Are you looking at any alts or other setups?
yeah. I was looking at something like Solana and other, of course, because it had that big news. I had a quick scalp on Pepe, followed by the tweet that ETH is also cool for a reserve. And yeah, basically, I'm watching something like XRP, which
Hmm.
got grossly rejected here again. Um, I am monitoring Fartcoin at the moment.
Yep, I am too.
I had a long idea because of some low time frame price action I saw here. Don't know on which time frame it was. Here, we based out on the graph, and but we got hammered down, of course. And if we would have reclaimed that level, for example, that could have sparked a rally on Fartcoin. Because we cleared all the liquidity I marked out previously. When we talked the first about Fartcoin, we had exactly that structure here,
Hmm.
if you remember.
Yeah.
And since then broke down terribly. And I think the most important level I have marked on that chart here, for example, and if I see that reclaimed with the local trend, I would definitely be a buyer of Fartcoin again. But as said, many charts look very terrible. I also looked at ONDO at that specific level here, but it also could not hold above. So yeah, I'm in general not interested in longing any altcoins here unless we see more bullish structure on Bitcoin again. To be honest, to be
Hmm.
honest. But you
Absolutely.
see my watch list. I watched them all. I should maybe use more spaghetti chart to really find out performance. But at the moment, you see that minus 22% on ENA. What is this? This is
That's such an ugly
completely.
candle.
It is so insane.
That was every single VC that was like, "Oh, we can finally get out of this." There's a lot
Yeah.
of buying volume. Like, oh, just market dump it.
I'm just
Holy
glad I'm
crap.
not allocated at the moment. Like these markets are brutal at the moment. The only thing that is really bullish is US Tether dominance and Bitcoin.
Exactly
And
the things you don't want to see if you're a bull.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
bad.
Bitcoin volatility is also pretty expanded. So Bitcoin volatility just tells me that it's basically like VIX for the S&P.
Mm, I've never seen
Um,
this.
it's pretty interesting. The 7-day volatility often marks tops or bottoms, or the spike of the really radical move, right? So we are pretty extended here, but we can go higher. So yeah, that's it.
But it's an
That's
interesting
it.
range though, Max. Yeah, for a
Yeah,
volatility chart, like that's pretty clean for many months. Yeah, you have a pretty high time frame here. So
yeah,
since like October, it's been in a range of volatility, which is interesting. Which I guess would coincide somewhat with the expansion from 72K up to the 100K range, and then that chopping. Oh,
yeah.
nice. Yeah, exactly.
So you see the expanding on volatility here, then it slows down. Of course, price action slows
Hmm.
down. We are in a ranging environment. Um, I just use it often together with my 60-day cycle chart because as you see, um, you have often that. God, where's my lines here? You have often that lows here, for example, 60-day cycle low with a big volatility spike. So it's just adding confluence, and it is to use like the VIX on the S&P, but
Hmm.
a lot more volatile.
Yeah. No, this is easier to read than the VIX. The VIX can be crazy. Um,
Yeah,
like the spikes and the troughs are much bigger. Like it's just hard to actually use it.
yeah, you
Um,
can't chart it really. You shouldn't chart it with
no,
trends, but
no,
you see ups and downs in volatility, which is interesting here.
yeah, especially in a
So
ranging
that,
environment, right? Because in a range like with high volatility, and if you're at range highs or range lows, it's a good reversal signal. I actually like this a lot. I'm gonna play around with this.
Play around with it.
I'm going to.
So you can take the screen now.
Okay. So on Bitcoin, I liked how you talked more about like the macro environment. And maybe I will talk a little bit about like specific types of setups I'm looking to take in this environment. So I think we're really in level to level trading. I don't think we're going to be in a range trading environment for a while. So essentially what I'm trying to do is play weekly levels to level. So like on Bitcoin, this is an actual trade that I took on Friday. And it was a trade that I've been looking at for a while. Basically just mapping out key weekly levels. So when I think of key weekly levels, I think of key highs and key lows that are sticking out on the chart and that are making ranges. So what I saw here for this Bitcoin setup to play out was this old high here. So this was on the leg up. This is a fair value area that price hadn't really come back and tested again. So I was interested to see what happens when price comes back around, tests it, and goes up again. Is it able to hold above that level, or is it going to fall below the level? So zooming in.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you really start marking out that key levels on the weekly chart before taking trades down to the 15-minute chart.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm going to the 5-minute chart. But I think this environment is so good because price is so erratic. Like you just showed it on that BTC volume or volatility chart. The swings are just so crazy. Like 3 weeks ago, if someone was gonna be like, all right, yeah, we're gonna just immediately like in 8 days go from like almost 100K down to 78K, I think most people would be like, no way. But it really does happen. And I think what a lot of people do is they panic. They're like, oh my God, it's falling so fast. And they're not thinking about, okay, well, what happens if we actually get some stability and then make a really quick and fast and large move up? Most people are like, oh no, like they're panic selling or they're just taking a huge loss. Like this was a 20%, from bottom to top. Like this is a 20% move very quickly. So there's going to be some great, on Bitcoin. So, as you said, Cardano went up 80%. Like if I had been looking at that one, I would have done much better. But this is the daily chart, and you already spoke about it, Max. But there was a lot of key things going on here. There was this weekly high coinciding with the 200 daily moving average, which is a moving average so many people look at. And then there was down here the CME gap, which is where price gapped when we went up very quickly here on the Bitcoin CME futures. So frequently,
I forgot to show it. Yeah, the CME gap, that was picture perfect. Hit,
exactly.
Build and bag up, right?
So everyone's, people say when gaps aren't filled, they're eventually going to be filled at some point in time. So that was pretty much the reason why I started getting interested in this area. And then Max, you also showed like there's confluence with the 60-day cycle, right? This is in that 60-day low zone.
Yeah.
So there's so much going on here that I think was really interesting. And I was basically just like, all right, give me enough of a bottom with structure that I can justify longing this because there's so many good things going on. And on a lot of these trades, I like to go to the 1 hour moving average to see if there's any type of structure. So the things that I'm looking for are a weekly level being broken and then reclaimed. So that was the first thing I was looking for. So it did it here, didn't hold. I didn't like this structure, and this isn't really a pattern that I would look to trade. But this is a rounded bottom. And very simply, for all my market structure friends here, this is a lower low, 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 and a lower low. Then this is a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. Basically, this thing makes a nice rounded reversal pattern, which is a classic turning point, like reversal shape. It also has a bunch of elevated volume, which is common at a reversal. And all we really needed was this shape, the volume, and then for it to reclaim this area. And as soon as I saw it doing these things, I said, this is going to probably be at least a short-term punt. So I decided to go long here, and I was targeting this old range here, which was here and here. So I rode this up pretty much right here, and it only went a little bit higher. So this is a pretty good place to take profit, just based solely off of this range being present here. So these are the kind of setups that I'm looking for.
It was very perfect, and I just saw it also backtested bearishly that triangle pattern we had before in the higher time frame, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not only the range lows were there, not only the breakdown point was there, it was also the diagonal triangle line here up 93K or something like that. No, way higher. Way higher.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, there was a lot going on this. As with any pattern or any type of trading, like if you have confluence, the more things you can stack in your favor, the better. So yeah, Max is right. He's talking about this triangle right here.
Yeah.
That triangle right there, when it broke, it fell hard and fast. That was really the beginning of the capitulation downwards. But yeah, you're right. That tapped that level. So I was thinking this is also another weekly low. So again, talking about all the weekly levels that I had marked, I set it to this weekly level, but it had confluence with this this triangle break, this symmetrical triangle. So look, and if you want to get more into this pattern, it's also a head and shoulders. That's a shoulder, that's a shoulder, that's a head. And as soon as it broke the shoulder, it just went insane, directly upwards. So there was a lot of confluence. I took it here, and I was talking, Max, you and I spoke about this. I said, I want to add to the position if it breaks this line. And I actually said, shortly before the Trump tweet, I said, this is looking very bearish. You had, where was that? That was right here. You had RSI on the hourly, trending downward, the price staying totally static, which usually means distribution, and the volume is so low here. So to me, this was just like weekend distribution. People are trying to get out of positions, and it's actually, I think this is just so interesting in a lot of ways, but this did start dropping really, really fast. And then just luckily, Trump tweeted here. It's like almost like he's saving the whole pattern. This was about to break down entirely, and he tweets here and just launches it. So this was totally news driven. This deserved to fail, and I would have been happy just getting this little push here. I was taking profits right here, so I wasn't. When I saw this, I was like, I was just getting mentally ready for this to be like a decent trade, not a great trade. But then, I mean, he blew this one all the way to the top, and I hit all my take profit levels. So
you had the position open when we got up to 93K completely.
I did. No, I took profit. No. I took probably a third here, and then I took a third here. These are just preset profit levels, and I took a third at the top here.
Great. It's a great trade. You know, many say you never nailed the perfect bottom, but this was pretty close. I have to say, this was pretty close.
Well, I wasn't the guy who did this, right? There's probably a couple people who bought it right there on 100x leverage. Oh, I do not recommend doing that, though. And they logged a 32-hour trade.
And it was a 20% move within hours. This is a pretty insane trade. So take home that money.
Thank you. I'm definitely happy with this, and I think it's kind of validating that this style of like playing level to level, playing weekly reclaims, like looking for significant structure before entering, I think is going to be a winning strategy here. And look, I was thinking of shorting this. I actually, before we got on the phone, I almost keyed this trade in. What I was looking for here was kind of same but different. The ideal trade would have been up here, but I wasn't at the computer when this happened. But seeing that this was distribution up here, and this is also Sunday. I don't really trade on Sundays or enter new positions on Sundays. So this was distributing up here, and this clearly rejected this level, and that would have been a great, hide stop up here, short it here, or short the retest of one of these hourly bars, retouching the line after it falls in, and then just riding this all the way down. And candidly, I do think it'll hit this region probably not too long from now. But
you know what I just thought? what I just thought was, because of the distribution you mentioned above here, I shorted Solana, and I just thought about the thing that I always do and can't stop. I always portray on Bitcoin, and I think it's Bitcoin trades really, really clean. And then I play some altcoin. I don't know why. I think too many people don't play actually Bitcoin. We just had a 20% move, pretty clean patterns, pretty clean levels to short or long. Many altcoins weren't so clean as Bitcoin were trading. I could have taken that short because I thought this is a real good short. I'm gonna search for an altcoin to short, but I could have just traded Bitcoin basically
It's so
because
true, and you
it's
could
so
have just
clean.
used more size, right? Because
Yeah,
that's the mentality, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, I love Bitcoin, but it just doesn't have the volatility that Solana has, or that Cardano or XRP has. Like, I want more percentage gain, but like, that doesn't connect that Bitcoin has very clean trends, and if you want to make more money, you just use a larger position size and play the clean trends. Like on this was right before we got on this call. I was looking at this and I said, it's not as good of a trade as this. This is kind of like a mid range, honestly, at this point. But this is another weekly level that I had marked out, and it had clearly broken this weekly level. And when I sat down at the screen, I saw the price was like right here,
yeah.
and I saw it,
Doesn't look good, right?
and I was like, I bet you if we lose this level right here beneath these lows, which is also the 1 hour moving average, I bet you if we lose that, I have a couple of minutes to buy that level again. Hide stop above the weekly level here and above these wicks on the hourly here, and I'll bet you
Yeah.
I can get back to the wick where the impulse move started with the Trump tweet. And not I wouldn't enter this trade now, but I'll bet you this trade would have worked out entirely. And this is a very
For sure.
fast move too, right? This is a 5% move on Bitcoin in 2 hours, which is crazy. So these are the kind of trades I'm looking for. I'm basically at this point seeing if this is going to hold here. Is this low going to hold? Is this level going to let me keep playing it? If we do another one of these, I'm interested in maybe taking it again. I think there's kind of two schools of thought right now, and I think it's going to be playing coins on lower levels. So on Bitcoin, I marked this level down here. This is the prior all-time highs, like around 73.9K or 72 to 73. I am interested if this level doesn't hold here, like if we do this and then keep going down, I'm interested in what happens here. And again, the patterns that I want to play only pretty much, I don't want to hit a V reversal. I'm not going to blindly bid. And I never blindly bid these levels. What I want to see is I want to see it break, and then I want to see it reclaim the level, and then I want to see it take off, and I want to re-enter after it comes back up around. But there's two types of coins right now that I'm interested in, and I'll list some of the names of them, but I would say they're coins that I think will test the level below, and I would say like those coins are, one that I saw is Bonk. Like this looks awful here, but it still hasn't touched this level yet. Like we just went above it, so I do think Bonk is going to have a chance to test this lower level here. This is 11 something, and it's just another very high time frame weekly level that seemed pretty good. This is here. Yeah, so this is this weekly level from all the way back in April 2024 that we haven't tested yet. So I'm interested to see what Bonk does when it hits this April 2024 level. And look, if we lose this level, I wouldn't be interested in Bonk until we get down to the next level, which is, as I see it, it's down here. This is the next set of lows. So I'm interested here on Bonk, see if we can do that. And if that isn't what works out, I think it will do something like this. And then let's see what happens here.
I target always the lowest of these levels because that are typically you see that structures very often on low time frame, and here's it on very high time frame that build up lows in the beginning since 2024,
Mm-hmm.
and I expect them to get swept completely before doing anything. And the big candle that led us up there is a pretty big inefficiency down there that just begs to be tested under these lows. So if we sweep them and reclaim, I'm very interested on Bonk if we turn the whole market around again, because this thing can provide insane rallies.
Totally.
Right?
I
I'm
mean,
very interested in something like that.
Bonk is insane. I mean, and this is 2023. This level was created in 2023, which is insane. Like also, but look, I mean, look, if we can get down there and even just ride it back to this level, that's 62%. That's
Exactly.
crazy, and that's where this bar was like earlier a few days ago. And then look, all time. I mean, these are just huge moves. That it could happen. Who knows? Who knows if Bonk will ever see an all time high again? I don't know. Maybe it will.
Depends on Solana.
Yeah, it depends on Solana, and if they're actually buying Solana, then it could be a good one. But there was a couple of other ones. I won't go over every setup, but like I think Pepe is another good one where zooming out to the weekly, like there's a bunch of really interesting weekly levels that I see here. Like this one that I marked out here is kind of like the last weekly candle before it had its I guess this is September 2024. So this was the beginning of its 2024 Q4 rally, was right this level that we're about to hit. And if we lose that, look, I think there's a bunch of like kind of fun wicks that are farther down below. You know, here. We just have to see
Are
how
you
price
looking?
reacts.
Are you looking at these coins now for the intention of shorting them to these levels,
No,
or are you
that's
willing to long them
that's a
on
great
seed and
question.
reclaim?
Look, I will take a long setup if it gives a very, very beautiful rejection of a weekly level. I think a really beautiful rejection of a weekly level was Bitcoin here. When it failed up here at 93.9K, as we talked about, if I was at the computer and here, I would have shorted
Yeah,
this.
that's
And this is
pretty
where I took
perfect.
the profit on my long. So I knew this was going to be a level of trouble. That's the type of level you want to short. It needs to be very premeditated. I think it does need to be at a high. I don't want to be like at some like mid-range level. But like, look, I mean, let's look at Pepe. Like, where would I actually want to short this? This is I think about to go hit this lower weekly level. So I'm more interested in longs here. But look, if Pepe came back, did something like this, and messed around here, even like went up, knocked all the shorts out, and then it fell beneath not just this weekly level, but this weekly level, there's a lot of blank space between this level and this level at least. 9% move if you're using leverage is not bad. But again, that isn't it's only a 9% move. Like a much more interesting thing would be like if we lose this level here, which I see a lot more blank space down below. Like that seems to be a more interesting short,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Thanks.
This could
Thanks for going
be
in detail.
this
Yeah.
could be 20%. This could be, and then if you lose that, it's really kind of lights out. So let's see. I'm kind of, I am willing to take shorts, but I think I'm long biased. I've realized that about myself. You can make more on longs because you can go up infinitely on a long. You can go up infinite percentage, but you can only go down 100%. So there's more money to be made on the long side than the short side.
Yeah, I think also on bear markets in general, if you transit in something like that, so the market transitions into a bear market, I will take high time frame swing shorts, but I'm generally focused on building stuff during the bear market, and then really actively trading the long side in bull markets is the more profitable way in doing money in these markets. I definitely think that shorting is more difficult, yeah. But I don't want to do nothing.
Definitely.
So shorting gets to an option, right?
Yeah. No, and there will be shorts. And so just to finish kind of my thought process, like again, I think there's two types of setups. Bonk and Pepe would be examples of like coins where I'm like, I want to play this lower. I think playing the lower levels on the weekly is going to be more profitable. But then there's coins like Say and Rune where I don't know if these are going to make lower lows. They just look so blown out already. There's a couple more. Like I would even put like TIA in that category as well. Like coins where I'm like, these have gotten annihilated. They're down 90%. And I think the low is in, knock on wood. And that I'm just looking for long setups. What other one? I think Fartcoin actually, this was another beautiful like weekly one. Like I drew this weekly level a long time ago, and it hit it, and it was a very clean play on it. I didn't actually long it, so I can't claim clout. But I do think that I drew this out a while ago, and this would have actually been a banger, a 9R trade. I mean, who knows if it would have worked out that perfectly, but I think I drew that when I saw it testing this level here, and it looks like it would have worked out. So I think this looks sufficiently swept. I want to see it. I just want to see how Fartcoin reacts here as well. I think this looks pretty constructive. And then like Say as well, these are all weekly levels here that I've marked out. And I'm very, very, very interested if something like a Say can come back up, go above both of these weekly levels that I drew out, and continue going long. And I think I actually even drew it out here hypothetically. We'll have to see what the market structure does, but this is a 28% move between this weekly level and then these old weekly levels here.
The moves are insane.
Yeah.
Like we are so sold off. I want to hear your thoughts on Say if you zoom out a bit more.
Yeah.
Because when we look at the weekly time frame, we have now clear to a high, a lower high, a low, and a lower low on the weekly chart.
Yeah. And so what he means by that is it's made a high, a low, lower high, and now this is a lower low. But it's not significantly lower. This is I would say a significant gap between this high and this high. This low and this low are not significantly different. This is 18 and this is 20. This is 73 and that's 115. So this could be an ugly double bottom here.
Could be. It looks pretty base. But just taking into account the weekly structure is kind of bearish.
Yep.
But why I want to say to zoom out, because we can get, if you measure it, 100, 200, 300% move before we even break market structure again bullishly, right?
The level that I marked out here, which is I think a very pretty weekly level right there. That's a 42% move from here.
Exactly. So you can play these charts on the lower time frames and get insane moves, even though the whole market is kind of fucked.
100%, because these sold off first. I think that's what people need to realize is like there was a couple coins that were, I would say, younger, maybe hypier earlier in the cycle that just got annihilated quickly. And I think Say was one, TIA was one. INJ is probably that's one I don't really look at, but I know you look at INJ. Like these were selling off before everything else. Rune was one. This one, I mean Rune. This long didn't work out. I know we talked about it last time. I think it was a very pretty. I took a small loss on this one, but I still think the idea holds still here or holds true. This is a giant ascending candle on the weekly. It kind of reminds me of like an old ETH pattern. Like this is the demand zone, or Solana, what Solana just did. This is a weekly demand zone. It hit it here and it went crazy. Didn't make a higher high, but it went crazy. We hit it again, and the consolidation here is just such a perfect ascending triangle. It's like higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high. Or sorry, it's a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. And even after this last this was a fake out, and people are like, oh, it was a fake out, it was a deviation, it was a fluke. Like, this literally was a fake out. It tried to break out here. There was a lot. I mean, look at all this volume down here. Tons of volume.
No, it was a totally valid trade.
And
My
it faked
theory
out.
is that Rune will pump and do an insane upward candle again on some kind of news from the project team. Hey, they fixed something or something like that, and then you get an immense short squeeze up. But it normally will show in the charts first, so we should get track of that. But as you zoomed out, I just realized how far Rune has dropped on
Oh,
news.
yeah.
And I also would have taken that breakout trade because it really threatens at least relief bounce higher, like
Yeah.
punish some shorts would be the normal
Look at
thing.
that.
60%.
Just to this wick. Just to this wick low.
Yeah, and that doesn't even look crazy, right?
No.
After the big sell-off. So such charts you can definitely play to the upside, even though the high time frames chart and structure is pretty broken. Yeah, exactly. Here you do a higher high after 600% move. So what should we do? Not play for 8 months, miss 600% upside until we do the market structure break? No, that does not make sense, right? So we have to zoom in and do something on the lower time frames.
Definitely. And look, I think there really is some. I think people are still watching and trading this thing. I think there's proof of that right here. Okay, so this was the failed break. This looks good, but then this was the whole. I mean, the whole market nuke. This was when we hit like 78K Bitcoin. Was this move, and still, I drew this line. I drew this line
Totally.
with these two originally, just these two. Look how perfect boom, boom, boom is. I haven't moved
Yeah.
this. I haven't moved this line.
It's crazy how markets work.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? This just gravitated towards this line. People are watching this, and people are putting long orders here along this trend line. So I don't know what's. I mean, look, if this happened, I'm not interested in this anymore. It'll take more market structure for me to get interested. But if this happens, I'm interested. And for me, I think it's making a higher high. I'm not gonna buy this range again. I want to see it make a new high up here and go up.
Some local structure and then hop on.
Yeah, exactly. And just and buy the breakout. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. So yeah, there's these ones where I don't know what news could. It sounds like there's been a lot of bearish news, and I'll be the first to admit I don't really know what the bearish news was on Rune, but it seems like this has been totally beaten down, and I don't know what else is going to drive this lower, at least in the near term, as long as the project isn't abandoned or rugged or something like that. So that's really what I'm looking at, man. Buying lower on like a Bonk or a Pepe, or buying higher on like a Say or a Rune or like a Fartcoin. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And right now I'm doing nothing. I'm in no trades. I'm happy about the Bitcoin long. I did not short Bitcoin. I'm not really interested in shorting Bitcoin at this point. And I'm just watching. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Also, still observing, looking at the 6-day cycle, see how the next cycle could go and position according to that. I positioned spot on the way down.
Mm-hmm.
I bought in, got around 20% of the size I normally had 2024 when playing the 6-day cycle lows, and I sold on the way up on the big bounce now. I'm completely flat, observing the market, see what this week brings, if we transit further into a bearish cycle here or not. Either way, it will give opportunities. I'm not afraid of missing any 20% moves. I just could have slept 1 hour on Sunday and missed 80% moves. So
Yeah.
that is not a problem. You never know when things happen.
Totally.
And I think just be locked in and awake. We have an interesting time here. But yeah, I think it was the totally right decision to de-risk. We have now the option to set bids to reallocate as we see market structure shift more bullish again. And I would leave it by that. Let's see what the move brings.
Yeah. So in conclusion, we're looking for lower or higher, but we're not really interested in playing right here.
Yeah,
I think that's
that's it.
probably a good way of describing it. Yeah. Cool, man. All right, this was a lot of fun. I hope everyone else enjoyed it. And as a reminder, not financial advice, just educational. I hope you learned something. We can't be responsible for any bad Pepe or Bonk trades that you may make. So yeah, hope you enjoyed.
Bye, guys.
All right, cool.